China and Brazil strike a deal to ditch the US dollar. Well, we shouldn't be surprised. After all, they are members of the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America. The international bank. Now, at a time when de-dollarization news are dropping fast and furious, and even Elon Musk is now jumping on the bandwagon, and one of the videos I posted today has to do with Elon Musk wanting to set up a different type of a global bank on his Twitter. Elon Musk replied, "Serious issue, U.S. policy has been too heavy-handed, making countries want to ditch the dollar, combined with excess government spending, which forces other countries to absorb a significant part of our inflation," he says, and which we first defined decades ago. Not a day goes by without someone, modest or not so modest, shift towards a world in which the U.S. currency, fully weaponized after February 2022 for the entire world to see and fear, is no longer the world's reserve, and today was no exception. And according to the Brazilian government, China and Brazil have reached a deal to trade in their own currencies, ditching the US dollar as an international intermediary entirely, according to Associated Press reports. The deal, China's latest salvo against the almighty greenback of the United States, will enable China, the top rival to US economic hegemony, and also Brazil, the biggest economy in Latin America, to conduct their massive trade, which amounts to $150 billion a year, and financial transactions directly exchanging yuan for reais and vice versa instead of going through the US dollar. And in doing so, China extends its bilateral USD exempting currency arrangements beyond countries such as Russia, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia to now include Latin American exporting powerhouse. The expectation is that this will reduce costs, promote even greater bilateral trade, and facilitate investment, the Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency said. Apex Brazil. China is Brazil's biggest trading partner with a record $150.5 billion in bilateral trade last year. The deal, which follows a preliminary agreement in January, was announced after a high-level China-Brazil business forum in Beijing. Now, Brazilian President Lula da Silva was originally scheduled to attend the forum as a part of a high-profile China visit, but had to postpone his trip indefinitely after he came down with pneumonia. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China and Bank of Communications, BBM, will execute the transactions, according to what officials said. To be sure, we're still a long way from the yuan replacing the US dollar as global reserve currency, or maybe not so far if one reads the recent reports from Zoltan Pozsar, and yet even with such foaming Bretton Woods III skeptics as Rabobank's Michael Every is starting to realize that he may have been wrong. And from his morning note, he said, "We showed in Why Bretton Woods III Won't Work, 2022, that an anti-US BW3 bloc does not balance its trade internally by value or structure. BW3, that's Bretton Woods III, can sell commodities to China, but unless they absorb the exports China now sends to the West, or China runs trade deficits like the US, then it cannot happen. Instead, we all just return to global mercantilism, which is happening, is inflationary, and ultimately suits the US, just not Wall Street, either in terms of mercantilism or monetary policy. When Bretton Woods III players no longer hold their official or unofficial savings in US assets, if not treasuries, then agencies or stocks or property, and want to stash cash in Moscow and retire in China, then things are changing. Alas, at the rate the current U.S. ruling regime is destroying the world's faith and confidence not only in the dollar, but in what was once truly a superpower and is increasingly a third world banana republic, the latest news of Trump's indictment, for example, for political reasons being third world cherry on top, we won't have very long to wait, he says. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. This is by Zero Hedge, Tyler Durden. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box